Roku plans to inject ads via HDMI.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a lovely day because I'm about to ruin it. This is regarding a company called Roku. I went over them recently. They seem to have a problem with the concept of consent.
They do like a TV plug-in thing. It's like a streaming service, kind of.
This is something I have gotten a lot of criticism for, not only in my comments, but also on Reddit, because very often I will say that these companies have what I like to call a rapist mentality. They take part in practices where they don't really care whether or not you consent. They simply want you to comply anyway. And very often they will use nefarious means to do this. And one of the reasons that I started using that phrase is because 4 years ago you actually had $25 million invested by major automakers into the Coalition for Safe and Secure Data that did everything they could to convince Massachusetts voters that independent repairmen are rapists, that we're going to follow you through a parking.
Domestic violence advocates. Lobbyists imply right to repair helps domestic abusers. Nah, bro, no way. Nah, no way.
Question. And so let's watch the commercial and see what we learn.
If question 1 passes in Massachusetts, anyone could access the most personal data stored in your vehicle. Domestic violence advocates say a sexual predator could use the data to stalk their victims, pinpoint exactly where you are, whether you are alone, even take control of your vehicle. Vote no on 1. Keep your data safe.
Wow. I'm going to be real. I wouldn't have believed that shit. Like, if he just said that, I wouldn't have believed it. That is dirty, bro. Like, what the fuck?
A lot that we're going to force your garage door open and then force ourselves on you. And they spend quite a bit of time in that commercial actually claiming that the majority of the of people that advocate for sexual assault victims agreed with them, that if right to repair gets passed, that you are going to be hurt. So I've kind of tried to do this thing where I turn the word around and I take a word that has been used on us and I rightfully so use it on them. Because unlike us who actually care about the consent of our customers before we take away their freedom, their privacy, their right to do what they wish with what you own, oftentimes the manufacturer is the one doing it. And I could not think of a better example than Roku. A few weeks ago, they decided that you're not allowed to use your television anymore unless you click agree on a screen that forces you into a forced arbitration agreement. You bought the TV without the agreement, but now you can't even switch to an HDMI input unless you accept the new terms. They held your television hostage unless you agreed. They wouldn't let you leave unless you said yes. That, in my opinion, takes a rapist mentality. But wait, it gets better.
Okay.
I said I was going to ruin your day, and I don't think I've done it yet. This is a patent application from Roku, and I'm going to summarize it for you. This is so that you could insert advertisements in between the device that has an HDMI output and the television. So this means that the television will be able to detect when you've paused content, and it will be able to insert an advertisement into that content, even if the content that you were using the HDMI part to view had no advertisements on it. Because apparently this is something that users
So just to like add new what the fuck?
Asking for. Let's read over the patent. HDMI customized advertisement insertion. When the media device pauses the media content, the display device can determine that a pause event has occurred and insert an advertisement shown on the display device. Further, some embodiments...
So it's like if you pause, they give you an ad because you pause? That's crazy. That sounds awful.
Determining the context and or content of the media content that is paused and determining an ad that is customized to the determined context or content displayed on the display device. Okay, so let's go over this.
Okay. It's a cat. Got him. So the cat would be like an advertisement right now. If we paused, because like he paused the video.
Okay, so let's go over this. So people will very often say that advertisements are justified because you did not pay for the content. So if you're viewing television via, using an antenna like I did back
I think that really people need to go past the idea of whether something is justified or not. Because everybody is going to have a different definition of what justified is. And I think that really there are types of ads that are cannibalistic and annoying and types that aren't. And there is obviously a spectrum. Whereas even people that hate all ads, and I understand that, even they can acknowledge that some ads are worse than other ads. Like, there needs to be a conversation about, like, which ones of these are not just extremely fucking annoying.
90s, and you have an antenna and you have your little VCR and you're recording it, you're not paying for that content. So the way that they monetize it is by having commercials. Or when you view YouTube, like if you don't use YouTube Premium, you're not paying for the content, you're not paying them for the hosting, you're not paying the creator. So you become the product and they will serve you an advertisement so that they can get paid. The argument is made that if you're not paying for the content,
and this is an argument that I agree with, by the way. I think that if you're not paying for content, you should expect to have to see ads. I think that's very fair.
They fund it as advertisements.
Yes.
The problem here is that you purchased your television, and if I paid $100 or $200 for several seasons of a television show, like 24 Heroes or something like that, the entire point of me paying full retail price is so that I do not have to see ads. The entire reason that
what this reminds me of? This reminds me of in World of Warcraft, whenever you paid the subscription costs thinking that it would remove microtransactions from the game, but then they decided to add store mounts into the game on top of the sub price and then also charge you for expansions at the same time. And the player base was never polled on this change. They never asked us about this. They just said, hey, one day we're going to start adding mounts into the game. And now there's pets, and now there's transmog, and now there's name changes, and now there's a WoW token. And before you know it, you're going to have to pay $15 just to turn on your fucking TV. It's crazy. What is this? You don't pay taxes on television and radios in America? I don't know if you do or not. I'm not sure. This is nuts, man.
am using the HDMI
you paying money to avoid it.
And my own content is because I don't want to watch ads.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
want to
why
watch
you're giving them the money.
Commercials. And above all, I don't want to use the garbage, malware, spyware-ridden trash on your smart TV to watch television or to watch shows that are going to be filled with ads. I don't want the smart TV experience where I am being spied on and advertised to. So as a result, I will connect my own device to the television. The entire reason that I connect a Linux box to my television is because I want to avoid ads and I want to avoid being spied on. And I highly suggest the same for you. I have a YouTube channel with 2 million subscribers, and if you watch my videos and watch ads, I make money. In spite of that, on this channel, many times over the past 10 years, I have suggested that the people who watch this channel use something like uBlock Origin. I have something called PF Blocker on my router. I know, OPN Sense is better. I don't want to reconfigure the whole thing from scratch. The point being, I make money when you watch ads. And I still suggest that you have ad blockers installed. The reason for that is that the 1/100th of a penny that I get when you watch 50 or 200 of my videos is not worth the amount of time that you lose from that ad. I make such a negligible amount of money from something that is going to cause you so much grief if you actually don't skip the ad that it's just not a fair ask in my opinion.
I don't think that YouTube ads are that bad, but I'll tell you guys this. I'm the same way, bro. Like, I got ad block. I do. I got uBlock Origin. That shit works. It does, because I don't like watching ads. And so, like, if somebody doesn't like watching ads, I feel like that's totally reasonable, right? And it's like, if you can forego the system and not have to do the ads, then why would you do it? I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it? Fuck.
So feel free to use an ad blocker. I'm saying that from my perspective. I encourage you to use ad blockers. The reason that I feel that using ad block is becoming not just justified, but your moral and ethical duty as a consumer at this point is because we're at a point where paying full price for your television and paying full price for your content is not good enough. It doesn't.
I think that, this is going to keep happening. And, like, I do think that these companies will win the war on ad blocker. Like, I do think that they will win. But they're not going to beat him, and they're probably not going to beat me either. And there's probably not going to beat a lot of you guys. But we are the, like, extreme hyper minority. It's like what I said before with, like, running a race. If you run a race and you put enough hurdles in that race, eventually you're going to have a lot of people that trip up. And the more hurdles you put in there, the less people that can complete the race. And all they're trying to do is put so many hurdles in that only the super dedicated people like him or like me or like a lot of you guys, we're the only ones ad blocking, and the other 95% of people, it is too obstructive to do.
Matter. And again, this is one of the things that I keep talking about when I say changing the terms of the sale. Whether you're talking about a company deciding that you need to accept a forced arbitration agreement that was not there when you bought the product in order to use it, or we're talking about a company that says, hey, I know you paid full price for your television, and I know you paid $100 just to view this content without ads rather than viewing a recording from terrestrial television. We're going to insert ads into it anyway. You bought it without ads, but you're going to watch it with ads now. And this is part of a pattern that I've been going over with many companies.
I've altered the deal. Pray that I do not alter it any further.
Respecting the concept of consent, not respecting the concept that there were terms of a sale that were set and that you cannot continuously change them. And let's not even get into...
I think that the problem is the fact that there aren't any refunds for this. Because I understand that a company has to update their business model based off of how the economy changes. But what I don't think is acceptable is to take an existing deal and then completely change it and then force somebody into arbitration. I think that if you have to completely change a deal, especially in terms of something that's a digital service, you should have to offer a full refund for that deal. Like, that's the problem. Because, like, if he could get a full refund for it at that point, it wouldn't matter. Because it's like, okay, now it's just not available anymore. It's the fact that you can't get the refund.
The fact that the entire reason that I connect a Linux Debian desktop to my television...
Because, like, again, like, sorry, I don't mean to pause again, but I just want to make sure one thing's clear, is like, I think that the companies should be able to try to stop ad block in ways that are not, invading your privacy. I think that companies should try to take measures to reduce ad block. And that's a smart and intelligent thing for them to do as a way of maintaining their business. However, I think consumers should be able to ad block as well, and consumers should be protected by the government. They should be. And I think this is an instance where regulation needs to happen. So I don't want to see it be made against the law for a website to stop people from using ad blocker, assuming they're not invading your privacy with different measures that were like, for example, like the EU, like what is it, like a GDPD or whatever, GDPR, those rules that like some of them break in EU. But like besides that, I don't really think that this is a good thing to like make that GDPR. Yeah, there you go. Not GDKP. So yeah, I think that companies should be able to try to advocate to remove ad block, and they should be able to try to like fight against ad block in ways that are not privacy, hurting your privacy, but also you should be able to get a refund. The customer should always be able to have consent. And I think what his point of view is, and like the argument that he's making is very good. I agree with this.
That I don't have to deal with all the spying nonsense is that you're trying to put that in here anyway. So again, the entire reason that I do not use the operating system that comes with my television is because by nature, it spies on you. By default, it spies on you. I do not want to hear any crap in the comments about how, well, you bought a Roku TV. Those things are cheap. You deserve your ads. Or, well, you're getting ads because you're using YouTube without paying. That's why you get your ads. No. When you buy a top-of-the-line television, the flagship LG television from a major brand, that thing costs over $3,500, an LG G3 OLED 77-inch. I will show you at the end of this video the settings that are on by default in this piece of shit, whether it is settings related to the television being able to see which content I'm viewing, or a little button that says, do not sell my information, that by default is turned off in a piece of shit that I paid $3,500 for. That is an excuse that people
It's actually crazy how technologically illiterate most of the country is, so we don't have any regulation or protections from this stuff. It's really disappointing.
Use when they want to shit on people. This is when you have people going, oh, you use Android, you must be poor. Oh, you use a PC, you must be poor. Oh, you drive an F-150, you should get a Silverado. Oh, you have a Silverado, you deserve...
the funny thing about the people that think that, using an Android or a PC must make you poor? All of those people are probably poorer than the people that are using PCs. You know why? Because they're spending extra money on Apple phones.
To it to break. You should have got a Dodge. It's one of these things that we use to just kind of fight against each other rather than look at the people that are actually screwing us. In this case,
true. He's right.
The entire reason that I wish to use my Debian Linux desktop with my television is because I don't want it to spy on me. And my television, as I will show you in the video at the end of this, my little LG anti-sponsor, is that my television is telling me in no uncertain terms in big font on a 77-inch screen that it is spying on me. So I decided, you know what? I'm not going to use that.
I think that a big reality check... I'm going to show you guys a big reality check about things spying on you. This dude knows more about computers and the internet and technology than everybody else in this chat room put together. And he has tape over his mic, over his webcam. I find that to be very interesting. Very, very interesting. He's a massive target. Think about what you're saying here. Does he have tape over his plant? He doesn't, does it? No, he doesn't. Do you know why? Because his plant can't be co-opted to spy on him. There's a reason why he put it over that thing and not over everything else. Think about it.
I'm going to connect my own HDMI cable to my television so that I could watch my content without being spied on, without my data being sold by default, and without ads. So what you said is, you know what? You don't want to use my system. You don't want to use my spying system. You don't want to use my ads. You don't want to deal with my trackers. Fuck you. I'm going to put those on the HDMI inputs anyway. You want to try and plug something into this TV? I'm going to watch what you're doing. You want to plug something without ads into this television that you actually fucking paid for? Suck it, because I'm going to put ads on it anyway.
I think that there's going to be a really big market in like 5 or 10 years for electronics that intentionally don't have any of these services attached to them. I actually think there's going to be a huge market for it because the level of distrust there already is in Asia. Yeah, I know that there's a little bit of it, right? Like dumb phones. Yeah, sure. Unlocked phones. Yeah. I think that it's going to become like right now, it's like if you're buying a blister pack phone, we know what we're doing here, right? However, I think that as more and more of this becomes more popular and there's like more people that are aware of it, and it becomes also, and you see how, you know, again, excess exceeds. And excess exceeds itself, and it will continue exceeding itself. The more and more of this that happens, the more people will be alienated away, and there will be a breaking point for each person. And once enough people reach that breaking point, then a market emerges for devices and tools that don't have any of this technology associated with it. I actually think it's a really good business idea. I don't know if I'm going to do that, right? I'm not sure if there's enough money in it yet, but I think it's a very good business idea.
That's where we're going. And again, to be clear, at this point, it's not even about me suggesting that you use AdBlock. I am suggesting that it is your moral and ethical duty to go out of your way to avoid advertising at all costs. Because this industry stopped caring about consent a long time ago. And it's becoming more and more obvious as you read patents like this and as you see what companies are doing.
I also want to say I think this is true with a lot of websites that have very consumer-unfriendly practices. Like, for example, like interrupting, like reading something that you're looking at, like halfway through it to play an ad or to block it off to where you can't look at the rest of it. Forbes does this, and like a few other like mainstream publications do this, and it's incredibly consumer unfriendly. And I don't know how well these companies are doing, but like here, let me just take. We're not gonna do like 50 of these, right? Because I always do these. Forbes Media. Ooh. Going down. These companies are killing themselves in the process of pursuing higher profits. That's what they're doing. They're killing themselves. And you see this with so many of these websites. I don't know how they don't realize it. For short-term profits. Yeah, it's horrible. Because we need journalistic outlets. And they're strangling themselves to death just for money.
Again, this YouTube channel, it is, I do not have sponsors in this video, and when you look at the way I talk about companies, whether LG, Lenovo, or anybody else, it never will. It's not happening. It's like, I know that.
I thought this myself because I roast so many companies. They will still sponsor me. Like, I can make a hate video about a game, and the game will be like, yeah, that's fine. Just play it, though. They don't even care.
The only route that this channel has to actually make money is ad revenue. And I am going out of my way to suggest, dare I say it, to beg you, uBlock Origin, PF Blocker NG, whatever the hell the equivalent is in
uBlock is the best one.
Go out of your way to block every single ad humanly possible. If you like a creator, if you like what they do, if you really want to support them, find a link. Send them something. And to be clear, you could watch...
It's crazy that he's talking about this, because I made a video about this. We're going to go way back. I made a video about this in 2017. I said this shit was happening. I did. No. No.
Dozens of my videos, I'm going to get a fraction of a penny. If you want to support content creators, if you want to support journalists, if you want to support your actual local newspaper,
$5.
find a way to pay for the content, or find a way to send them something directly. But we need to kind of start standing up against this industry, because this entire industry is becoming just so predatory and so disgusting.
I'm okay with bespoke sponsorships. Like, for example, if a streamer does a partnership with a company, because like you can hold that individual streamer accountable and you can choose not to consume their content again. I think it's okay to have advertisements. It's fine, but like the individual content creator can be held accountable for it. And that's a good thing.
To the point where like, every single piece of data must be mined from every user. And it drives me so nuts when I read comments from people saying, you bought something cheap, you signed up for that. I never fucking consented to LG selling my personal data.
Somebody says in chat, I'll respond to this because you're in chat a lot, and so you're disagreeing. You're saying it's bad take. People complaining about ads whenever they're using a service that only exists because of ads is stupid, though. The guy making money on YouTube complaining about ads is insane. Nearly all your money comes from benefiting from ads, though. All of my money does? Yeah, it does. TV with no ads, it costs 2x the amount. Part of the reason why it's low cost is because of ads. Yeah, I think that that's probably the case with some TVs, but I'm not sure why every single TV is like that. And also, why would maybe I'm not educated in this, but why would a television cost more money as a piece of hardware? Like, what does the price of a television have to do with ads? Yeah, can you explain that to me? Because I really don't understand it. High-end TVs subsidize lower-end TVs. Okay, I'm going to assume that you're right, okay? I'm going to assume that you're right. And I'm going to explain, like, let's look at this logic, and I'm going to explain, even if your logic is right, how I still think that it's wrong. The reason why I think that it's wrong is because I don't like the idea that a consumer-unfriendly business model is necessary to prop up a industry. If an industry cannot exist in a capacity that is friendly and beneficial for the public at large, then it doesn't deserve to exist. So I don't like the mindset or the logic of, like, you know, for example, people use this with clothes, for example. Like, okay, so like the logic is like we need to have an underclass of people that are working for slave wages, effectively. Not slave wages, but like horrible wages in like third world countries, and being mistreated in our country so we can have them as an underclass so we can have cheap things. This is not a sustainable and ethical way of living at all. So whenever I see this happen, I hate the idea that unethical business is justified because it enables an industry. I find this to be incredibly problematic. I see your point of view. I think that you're right with like what you're saying with YouTube, but that's not really what we're talking about here. We're talking about like hardware being co-opted and hijacked and held hostage.
But they assume that I did. I never consented to a Roku television being able to tell what I'm watching and inject ads into my material. But they think that that's what I'm doing. And when I say
crazy.
No, when I say I don't want to use the smart system on the TV, I want to plug in my own, they think it is appropriate to tell me to go F myself because we're going to put the ads there anyway. Don't buy this shit. That's it for today.
I think that you should be able to buy it. It's totally fine, and you should also be able to refund it completely.
As always, I hope you learned something. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye now. This here is an LG G3 OLED television that also has cat scratchers.
So here it is.
That's my way of trying to bribe my cat into not scratching my speaker. We'll see if that works. In all seriousness, this is in the menu of this television. If you go in this at any one of the default profiles and you go to privacy and terms,
the problem is that these issues are so granular and they're so nuanced that I think a lot of people don't care about them yet. That's why, for example, you can have massive privacy encroachment, like the Patriot Act, for example, and nobody really cares about it because they either assume it's for the greater good or they don't have the understanding of technology high enough to see where the problem is. And even I don't understand it as well as he does.
What you'll notice with a smart television is there's an option called Do Not Sell My Personal Information. And because we live in a dystopian world, this option is not by default checked. It should be the default when you pay over $3,000.
Isn't there a word for that? 2 words for that? That's got to be a dark pattern, right? I think that, because I remember looking at the definition that one lawyer provided. Based off of that definition, it is. That's illegal in my country? Yeah. Good. Or can tech, my product designer, is 100% a dark pattern? Yeah, Man, dark pattern equals DP, DP equals...
For a television that you do not sell my personal information. But even when you pay that much for a television, the default is that they will sell your personal data, which is why you should never connect a television to the internet, particularly when these televisions have microphones built into them that allow them to listen to what it is you say.
Bro, my mom was on this. I remember, so I got Izzy's old TV. I don't know how it got at my house. I think it's whenever she moved in with me for a period of time. And she said, don't you fucking plug that thing in. Don't you plug that fucking thing into my house. You're going to put it over there, face it against the wall. We're not having that TV anywhere near here. She knew, bro. She fucking knew about this shit. Like, she was in on this stuff in, like, 2005. Like, she was fucking thinking about this all the way back then. It was crazy. Like, she didn't give Blizzard her account information ever. They didn't know anything about her, like, payment info. And she's like, no, you're going to Target, you're buying a card. They're not getting my I'm not putting that on the internet. Nope. And I had to buy her game cards. Bro, I have a stack of game cards downstairs of all of her old game cards.
There are many other settings.
The Xbox Connect drama? Yeah.
About being able to
it was like
see
2014, somewhere around there.
What you're doing, to be able to make recommendations to you and personalize advertisements to you if you browse around the television. And 100% of those options is the consumer unfriendly option, and the advertiser grabs your data, sells it, and uses it however they please option.
You saved them? I did save them. Well, I didn't really save them. I just, I save them in the same way that I save everything, right? It's just still in my room. Well, anyway, there's the video. Make sure to give it a like. I mean, I really wish that more people, because the problem is that a lot of people see this kind of stuff, and they're like, I think they assume that people like me and people like him are, paranoid, like, oversensitive, unreasonable people, you know? But there's a reason why Mark Zuckerberg's got a piece of tape over that webcam. And if there was no way to get into that webcam and there was no way for them to be able to access it without your consent, then he probably wouldn't need the tape over the webcam. He doesn't have tape over the plant because he can't connect to the plant. It's not possible. But he does with the webcam. I'm not saying it's happening all the time, but I'm saying it's possible. That's why he's got tape over the webcam and not the plant. It's just the way it is.